And we are live with Derric E. Thomas, Esquire, lawyer, law firm founder, businessman extraordinaire, and we are so excited and grateful to have you on this week's episode of Midweek Motivation. So thank you.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So let's hop right into our first question. So what drew you to becoming a lawyer, and what inspired you to choose that path?
Well, two things. First of all, when I was in the eighth grade, I took a personality test, the whole class
Okay.
did. And based on your answers to that question, it told you what professions were likely good ones for you. And for me, it was an entrepreneur or a lawyer. I
Okay.
didn't know any lawyers and I didn't know any entrepreneurs. So at the time, it really didn't mean anything. But later on, I remembered it. The second thing was a guy by the name of Reginald Lewis. Reginald Lewis was a black attorney from Baltimore who was the first black man to own $1 billion company.
Wow.
So he did mergers and acquisitions. And so that's what I wanted to do.
Okay. That sounds awesome. And I know you worked with Sprint, with one of the companies that you did work with. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
Well, Sprint, I originally went to work for Nextel Communications.
Nextel, yes.
Yeah, years ago, a small company formed called Nextel Communication, and I was a member of the founding team. I wasn't a founder, I was one of the original employees.
Awesome.
And went to work there doing mergers and acquisitions work, and ended up rising up through the company to become the director in charge of all mergers and acquisitions. And then we combined with Sprint, and I continued into that position.
Awesome. So what have been the top 3 moments from your career to date that you can think of?
Well, I can, thinking back on that, I think my first job in mergers and acquisitions, which, as you said, was Nextel Communications.
Yeah.
Just getting that job was a big moment for me because that's the reason why I went to law school.
Right.
Oftentimes we go to school and we want to do one thing and we can't find a job or our path leads us in a different direction. So for me, I was lucky in that way. Another moment would be becoming a senior executive at Nextel and then Sprint, where I actually ascended to be in charge of all acquisitions instead of just a member of the team. Another moment would have been the moment that I raised my hand to stop the disparity in pay among African-American attorneys and others. There was a disparity. There continues to be a disparity, not only in African-American versus other employment, but in male-female employment. And so there came a time when I had to raise my own hand and say, this is not fair and we're not going to do this anymore.
That sounds awesome. It sounds awesome. And so speaking of your career as a lawyer and your law firm, how has the pandemic affected your law firm, if it has at all?
Well, my law firm focuses on business clients. All my clients are business owners or people starting businesses. So business as we know it stopped dead in its tracks with this pandemic.
Yeah.
And so my practice turned from helping people to purchase businesses and grow businesses to helping them navigate how to get the loans and grants that were available just to keep them afloat and keep their employees paid. So that was a change in the practice. Another change would have been people. I'm a big proponent that everyone should have a will. And so with the pandemic, people starting to become more prepared, more ready to be prepared and have wills done, which I highly encourage for everyone.
Yes. Awesome. And so what advice do you have for those who are in law school? Because some of our viewers are either in law school or getting ready to come out of law school in regards to having a successful career as yours is.
Well, if you're in law school, you already know this. But if you're thinking about going to law school and that's what you want to do, I would say that the first year of law school is the most important year. You must do well and get top grades because in law school, it's a competition amongst the students. There's a number 1 student and a number 300 student. And the top students get access to the best opportunities for the best jobs, which is why you're there. I did not do great in my first year of law school. So I guess while I'm living proof that if you don't do good in your first year, you still can make it and have a good career. But things are so much easier if you take that first year very seriously And I didn't have anyone to tell me that. I kind of learned everything on my own. And so that's the advice I would give. Additionally, you should research the path that you intend to follow. Many people go to law school knowing exactly what they want to do, and some go to law school not knowing exactly what they want to do. Others go and thinking they're going to do one thing and end up doing something else. But you should research whatever it is that you want to do as a lawyer.
Yeah.
And talk to somebody that's actually doing it, because you've got to be clear on the process before you embark in the direction.
Amen.
That's the advice I would give.
Yeah, and that way you don't waste time, and you don't waste energy.
Yeah, and in life you're going to waste time and you're going to waste energy. But if I could give you a couple of strategies to help you not waste time or energy in that area, I would highly recommend those things.
Right. Thank you for that advice, for sure. And so, how has the quarantine affected you personally, and how have you been staying encouraged during this time frame?
Well, I'm not one to stay home. Staying home is very hard for me. And so I've had to adjust, and I've taken on many projects around the house. But I continue to work. I know people that are sick, that have recovered from being sick, and that have died. So I know that this pandemic and this virus is real because I've seen these stages. And so I've practiced social distancing. I do not want the virus. I don't want to be fighting to get over that. And so while it's tough, we make a way. We do what we have to do. I stay encouraged because I'm an opportunity seeker. And even in pandemics and all that happens in the world, there are opportunities, and opportunities change. And so me as an opportunity seeker, I'm always looking to see what is the opportunity that exists now in a pandemic. And so those things keep me encouraged and moving forward.
Amen. That's awesome. And so moving on to the next question, how have you desired to make an impact in the community? And you talked a little bit about this earlier, over the course of your career, and what are you doing now?
Well, I make an impact. I try to make an impact by giving back. I have and always have lots of free consultations on business and legal issues. I'm not the kind of person that wants to charge money for everything, and I like to see people win. So whenever I can help to do what they need to do without hiring an attorney, I give that advice pretty freely. Additionally, I'm in the process of moving forward now that I have more spare time with standing up my charity, which is called the Talent 10 Think Tank. The Talent 10 refers back to W.E.B. Du Bois, who basically said that Black people need to be higher educated. And at the time, Black people were being steered into industrial careers.
Right.
Du Bois said that in order for us to achieve as a whole all the things that we can achieve without becoming just second-class citizens, that 1 in 10 Black people needs to ascend the educational ladder to avail ourselves of both corporate and political positions so that we can level the playing field for Black people. I achieved that in my Talented 10 Think Tank by focusing on higher education for young Black boys. The goal of my foundation is to empower young Black men to go to better colleges than the colleges we're always steered to through SAT and ACT prep. So we have scholarships and mentoring towards raising those scores so that we at least qualify. We can make whatever choice we need to be at every table.
Yes, that is so true. I was just actually speaking to somebody about the importance of us getting into these political positions, into us becoming lawyers, becoming in higher education, in positions that involve getting higher education, so we can start to make an impact in those areas.
Yeah, and I would say, I grew up, most of my friends that I grew up with did not go to college. Many of them were very successful. And so while I don't believe that college is the choice for everyone, I do believe what W.E.B. Du Bois said, in that 1 of every 10 of us needs to achieve higher education so that we can at least level the playing field for everyone else.
Right. That makes sense. And so I'm kind of switching the topic back again, going towards more about law firms. Going forward, what changes do you foresee in the way law firms operate, if any? How do you think it's going to be affected by the pandemic?
The only changes I'm seeing now are related to filing cases in court. You used to have to go to court to file your cases, get them stamped, get copies,
Yeah.
and that process has changed. And we're forced to embrace that change where lawyers and paralegals no longer have to go into court to do these filings. So electronic processes, which I would call an improvement in that area, is definitely a change I see.
Okay.
A move towards electronic processes is where we need to be. So I think that's a
Yes.
positive change. I don't really see any other changes because while virtual meetings have their place, there's no need for you to travel to DC, California to meet with me to go over a business issue.
Yeah.
Nothing will ever really replace you sitting in an office with your attorney, assessing whether that attorney understands your issue and can help you. I think that in-person interaction that you achieve by meeting someone and looking them in their eye will never be replaced if we can't achieve that electronically. So not many changes. The practice of law is old and tested and will always remain.
There we go. Well, we're getting into our last couple of questions, last two questions. And the second to last question we want to ask is, what would you leave our audience of midweek motivation today with that you have not yet shared in the interview? Let's get the advice what we're going to share with them. Yeah.
I like to make a couple of points about succeeding.
Okay.
Success, first of all, success isn't determined until you die. You can try and fail and try and fail. And many very successful people have failed many times before they achieve what we would all agree would be success. And so to that, I would say, to succeed in whatever you want to do, you have to actually risk failing. And you have to actually do something. Many people think about it, plan it, investigate it, research it, but they never pull the trigger. And I think that we have to stop that and actually get out here and do something. The second point I'd like to make is that many of my best lessons, the most meaningful lessons to me, occurred in my failures. So you can't be afraid to fail. Next thing I'll point out is that businesses that are most likely to succeed are those that solve problems. There are many businesses and we can do many things, but those that actually solve the problem that we have, all people, are the businesses that are most likely to succeed. And lastly, I would like to say that many plans that I see, because people come up to me with business ideas all the time, they're not able to be acted upon because the person doesn't have any financial interest in it. They have no skin in the game. And what I try to tell people over and over again is that no one will just give you money to make your dream or your business come true. Any investor with money, they have to know that you have some skin in the game.
Yeah.
And a good way to understand why that's true is to watch the show American Greed. American Greed is episode after episode after episode. People who steal from their investors, who defraud customers and everything. And so if you want a business that takes money, way more money than you have, and you have no skin in the game with your idea, it's going to be very hard to get funding to help that business. And to that end, I would say, if that is you and that's your situation, maybe look to start a business that doesn't require so much capital, just so you can get in the process of succeeding and navigating through business issues, and to raise your capital so that when you want to do your big thing, you do have some skin in the game.
That is awesome, awesome, awesome advice. Thank you so much for this interview and for the advice and the pearls of wisdom that you have shared. So if anyone needs to utilize the services your law firm provides, how can they get in contact and how can they find you on social media?
Well, the best way to find me, because I'm very limited in my practice, I work with very few people, so I can manage my time and my balance. But to email me, you can find me on Facebook. I'm just Derric Thomas. But to email me at Derric, DERRIC .Thomas, THOMAS at DTCORPLAW dtcorplaw.com.
Okay.
That's how you find it.
Awesome. I want to thank
And
you again.
I want to commend you on what you're doing. I think it's awesome. I think you're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, and here at Invest Olive LLC, our purpose and our mission is to invest in the personal, financial, and vocational goals of people of color, and specifically women of color. And so that's why we're hosting this broadcast, to bring people in front of you so that people can stay encouraged, especially during this quarantine season, and they can learn and they can get advice from people who are great like you.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of you doing that.
Thank you. So this has been an episode of Midweek Motivation. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We are out.
Bye.
Yes.